That Thanksgiving, my family didn't just turn against me, they devoured me. All because of one terrifying, life-altering truth, exposed on my phone, ripped open a wound I never knew was there. You always hear stories about money tearing families apart, how people change when they realize you have something they don't. I just never, not for a second, thought it would happen to mine. My name's Michael, I'm 28, and until just a few weeks ago, I lived what I thought was a pretty normal life, though my relationship with my family was always tense. I grew up in a middle-class home with my parents and my older brother, James. James is 31, but you'd never guess it from the way he acts. He's always been the kind of guy with an excuse for everything. Lost a job? His boss was out to get him. Dumped? Women only care about money. Didn't pay someone back? Well, they should have known better than to lend him cash in the first place. That's James in a nutshell. I was always the quiet one, the responsible one. I kept my head down, worked hard, and honestly, I never asked anyone for anything. I wasn't super close with my family, but I still showed up for holidays, played the part of the good son, and tried to keep the peace whenever James started his usual rant about how unfair life was. What my family didn't know was that I had been building something quietly for myself. A few years back, I stumbled into this business opportunity. It took countless late nights, so many sacrifices, and just sheer, relentless persistence, but it grew into something far bigger than I ever could have imagined. I won't get into the nitty-gritty, but let's just say that through smart investments and creating some passive income streams, I had managed to accumulate over $10 million. I never flaunted it. No flashy cars, no ridiculous mansion. As far as my family knew, I was just doing fine. And that's exactly how I wanted it. Then Thanksgiving hit. It started like any other holiday gathering. Forced smiles, awkward small talk, and my mom, of course, making sure everyone knew just how hard she'd worked on the meal. The usual scene. I was just trying to mind my own business at the dining table while James launched into yet another tirade about how impossibly expensive everything was. Rent too high, wages too low, the government was useless. He went on, barely taking a breath. At some point, my mom sighed, shaking her head. "If only you had some help," she murmured, glancing pointedly at me. It's just so unfair how some people have it easy while others struggle. I ignored her. I was completely used to those little jabs. But then came the moment that changed everything. After dinner, everyone was taking pictures. My dad asked James to snap one of the whole family. James grumbled, but he agreed. I handed him my phone since I was sitting closest. Big mistake. Instead of just opening the camera, he swiped up. Accident? Curiosity? I don't know. But what I do know is he saw something he absolutely shouldn't have. One of my investment apps was still open, my account balance flashing right there on the screen. And just like that, the air in the room shifted. James went utterly silent. His face, which had been bored and annoyed moments before, twisted into something I couldn't quite place. His eyebrows shot up, his mouth gaped slightly. For a split second, he looked like he genuinely couldn't believe what he was seeing. Then, without a word, he turned the phone around, holding it up for everyone. "Michael," he said, his voice dangerously calm. "What is this?" My stomach plunged. My mom leaned in, squinting at the screen. My dad, who'd been half asleep, jolted upright. Even my aunt, who usually avoided all family drama, was craning her neck to see. James turned the phone back to himself, then read the number aloud. $10 million. His voice grew louder, laced with disbelief, with each word. A heavy, suffocating silence fell. Then my mom gasped. "Michael," she whispered, clutching her chest, like she'd just heard the most shocking news of her life. "Is this real?" I wanted to snatch the phone back, to deny it, to laugh it off as some ridiculous mistake. But there was no point. The damage was done. James let out a short, humorless laugh and tossed my phone onto the table. So, while the rest of us are struggling, you've just been sitting on millions? He shook his head, his voice dripping with disbelief and something raw and furious. Are you serious right now? I started to say, but I didn't even know what words to form. James wasn't finished. You've been letting Mom and Dad pay for stuff when you visit. You've been sitting there listening to me talk about how hard things are, acting like you're just some average guy. But you're a freaking millionaire. His voice rose, his hands gesturing wildly. And you never once thought to help out your own family? My dad, usually a quiet man, folded his arms and nodded. Yeah, Michael. My mom's face twisted in disappointment. We've always been there for you, she said, her voice thick with a mix of hurt and accusation. And you didn't think to share? I could feel the pressure building, squeezing the air out of the room. It was like I had instantly become a stranger in my own home, like they were seeing me through an entirely different, chilling lens. James sat back down, taking a slow, deliberate breath. Then he looked me dead in the eye and uttered the words that would set everything in motion. You owe me. I blinked. What? He crossed his arms. You owe me. He said it like it was the most obvious, unquestionable truth in the world. You know I've been struggling. You know I could use the money way more than you. And you just sat there and let me suffer? I glanced around, desperately searching for someone, anyone, who might see how absolutely ridiculous this was. But instead of support, all I saw were expectant faces. James is right, my mom said softly. You don't need all of that, Michael. Not when your own brother is struggling. A knot formed in my stomach. This wasn't just shock anymore. This was something deeper, something ugly and insidious. James smirked, like he could already see me crumbling, giving in. So, he said, leaning forward, how much are you giving me? I stared at him, my heart hammering against my ribs. The sheer audacity. The blatant entitlement. James wasn't asking, he was demanding. And what was worse? My family wasn't shutting him down. They were waiting, expecting me to comply, as if it was a foregone conclusion that I'd just hand over my hard-earned money because James decided he deserved it more. I took a slow, deliberate breath, trying to keep my voice steady. I don't owe you anything. The room went still. James's smirk evaporated. My mom gasped as if I'd just slapped her across the face. My dad's jaw tightened, his eyes narrowing. James let out a sharp, incredulous laugh, shaking his head. Are you serious right now? His voice was laced with disbelief, but underneath, I could hear the anger bubbling, rising. Yes, I said firmly. I worked for this. I built it. You don't get to demand a cut just because you think life is unfair. James scoffed. Built it? Oh, give me a break. You worked a couple of desk jobs and got lucky with some investments. That's not building anything. He leaned forward, jabbing a finger in my direction. Meanwhile, I've been busting my ass for years. No. I cut in, my patience finally wearing thin. You've been making excuses for years. His eyes flared. You've had jobs, I continued, my voice rising. You've had opportunities. But every single time, you either quit, got fired, or spent your money on stupid stuff instead of being responsible. And now you want me to clean up your mess? Absolutely not. James's face turned scarlet. You think you're better than me, huh? I think I made better choices than you, I said bluntly. My mom let out a wounded sigh. Michael, honey, you don't understand how hard James has had it. I snapped my head toward her. Hard, Mom? He's 31. He had the same start I did. He had help from you and Dad. He blew it. That's not my fault. James pushed himself up from his chair so fast it scraped loudly against the floor. Unbelievable, he muttered, pacing the room. You're actually going to sit there with $10 million in your account and act like you can't help your own family? I gritted my teeth. It's not about helping. It's about you thinking you're entitled to it. James let out another humorless laugh. Wow. Just wow. He turned to my parents, motioning toward me like I was some kind of freak of nature. Do you hear him? Do you see how selfish he is? My mom shook her head, disappointment etched into every line of her face. I just don't understand, Michael. We raised you better than this. I clenched my fists under the table. You raised me to be responsible, to work hard, to take care of myself. I exhaled sharply, trying to keep my temper in check. Not to be an ATM for people who refuse to do the same. James stopped pacing and turned to me, an ugly sneer spreading across his face. You know what? Keep your stupid money. See what happens when you need family one day. I let out a dry, mirthless chuckle. Yeah, and when exactly has family ever been there for me, James? That silenced him. Because the truth was, I never once asked them for help. Not when I was struggling to pay rent in my early 20s. Not when I was pulling all-nighters, working 2 jobs while trying to build something for myself. Not once. And yet, the moment they found out I had money, they expected me to just hand it over. The silence in the room was heavy, suffocating. My dad shifted uncomfortably, looking like he wanted to say something, but thinking better of it. My mom just shook her head, tears welling up in her eyes, though whether they were from sadness or sheer disappointment, I couldn't tell. James, however, wasn't done. You know what? He said suddenly, his voice calmer now, too calm. You're right. You don't owe me anything. I eyed him warily. Glad you finally understand. He smiled, a slow, unsettling smile. But you do owe Mom and Dad. My stomach dropped. And just like that, the guilt-tripping shifted. My mom's lip trembled. We did everything for you, Michael. Her voice was soft now, filled with calculated hurt. We put food on the table. We gave you a home. We sacrificed so much to make sure you had a good life. Oh, here we go. I let out a slow breath, bracing myself. And now, she wiped at her eyes, shaking her head, when you have more than enough to help the people who raised you, you just refuse? My dad, who had been silent for most of the conversation, finally spoke up. We're not getting any younger, Michael. Some support would be nice. James folded his arms, smirking like he'd just played the winning card. What kind of son wouldn't take care of his parents? Unbelievable. I knew exactly what they were doing. They realized the whole help your struggling brother angle wasn't going to work. So now they were pivoting, turning it into a you're a bad son argument, trying to manipulate me, guilt-trip me. I forced myself to stay calm. I appreciate everything you've done for me, I said slowly, deliberately. But you don't get to turn that into a bill. Parenting isn't a loan expecting repayment. James scoffed. So that's it? You're just going to hoard all that money and let Mom and Dad struggle? Struggle? They weren't struggling. They had a perfectly fine house. My dad was retired. My mom still had a part-time job that she enjoyed. They weren't exactly living in luxury, but they weren't scraping by either. This wasn't about necessity. This was about greed. And the way James was grinning told me he thought he had won, that this new angle was going to break me down. He had no idea who he was dealing with. I looked around the table, taking in the faces of my family, the people I had spent my entire life thinking I could trust. Then I made my decision. I stood up, pushed my chair in, picked up my phone from the table, and slid it into my pocket. And then I turned to James. You want to know how much I'm giving you? I asked, my voice eerily calm. His grin widened. That's more like it. I smirked. Nothing. James's face fell. And before he could start screaming, before my mom could launch into another guilt trip, before my dad could even open his mouth, I turned and walked straight out the door. But this wasn't over. Not by a long shot. I barely made it to my car before my phone started blowing up. At first, it was just the family group chat, my mom, my dad, and James, all firing off messages one after another. My mom texted, "Michael, please come back inside. We need to talk about this." My dad texted, "Don't do something you'll regret. Family is everything." James texted, "You're a selfish piece of garbage. You actually think you're better than us? You're nothing without this family, you hear me?" I stared at the messages, a cold, hard knot forming in my stomach. I had expected them to be upset, sure, but something about James's last message sent a genuine shiver down my spine. I locked my phone and started the engine. They weren't getting a response, not tonight. But when I got home, I realized they weren't just stopping at text messages. The first thing I saw when I opened my phone again was a notification from social media. My mom tagged me in a post. "Oh, you've got to be kidding me." Against my better judgment, I clicked on it. And there it was. A long, dramatic post, written in the way only an entitled parent could. It breaks my heart to say this, but sometimes the people we love the most can hurt us the deepest. We've always done everything we could for our son, Michael. We raised him with love, gave him everything we had, and supported him no matter what. But now that he's successful, now that he has more than enough to help his own family, he has chosen greed over love. Imagine finding out your own son is a multimillionaire and refuses to help his struggling parents and brother, despite everything we've done for him. We never raised him to be this selfish. I don't know where we went wrong. I'm absolutely devastated. She even had the nerve to add a sad face emoji at the end. And it was already blowing up. Dozens of comments flooded in from distant relatives, old family friends, and even people I barely remembered from high school. "Oh my God, I'm so sorry you're going through this." Some people just forget where they came from once they get money. That is disgusting. You did everything for him, and this is how he repays you? Michael should be ashamed of himself. Family comes first. And of course, the one that really got under my skin, he probably thinks he's better than the rest of you now that he has money. Typical. I clenched my jaw. Unbelievable. She had twisted the story so perfectly, painting herself and James as helpless victims while making me look like some greedy monster who had abandoned his poor, suffering family. And James? Oh, he was loving it. He had commented under her post, "It's okay, Mum. Some people just show their true colors when money gets involved. Guess I never really had a brother after all." I exhaled sharply through my nose, trying to keep my temper from exploding. Oh, they wanted to play dirty? Fine. Let's play. I took a screenshot of the post. Then I started typing. Funny how my family never once cared about my work, my struggles, or the years I spent building something from the ground up. But the second they find out I have money, suddenly I'm nothing more than a bank account to them. I said no to giving my entitled brother a handout, and now they're trying to manipulate the entire internet into believing I'm a bad son. You want the truth? Let's talk about the truth. I hit post. And that was just the beginning. I barely had time to process the chaos unfolding online before there was a furious pounding at my front door. I knew who it was before I even checked the peephole. And he wasn't alone. My parents stood behind him, my mother clutching her phone like it was a lifeline, my father standing there with that familiar, disapproving glare, the one he always gave me whenever I didn't fall in line. I debated ignoring them, pretending I wasn't home, but the pounding got louder. Then James started shouting, "Open the door, Michael. Be a man and face us." I sighed, running a hand down my face. "Fine. Let's get this over with." I swung the door open and immediately, my mother launched into her performance. "Michael, I can't believe you'd humiliate us like this. How could you post something like that? Do you have any idea what people are saying about us now?" I let out a short, cold laugh. "Oh, now you care about what people are saying? Maybe you should have thought of that before you blasted me all over social media." She gasped as if I'd actually slapped her. I only told the truth. Unlike you, who's been keeping secrets from your own family. Do you know how much that hurt us, finding out the way we did? And instead of apologizing, you throw a tantrum online. I crossed my arms. You mean I defended myself after you tried to turn everyone against me? Yeah, I'm not sorry for that. James stepped forward, shoving a finger in my face. You think you're better than us, huh? Just because you got lucky and made some money? You wouldn't even have anything if it weren't for us. We raised you, supported you. I cut him off. You supported me with what? Your ability to sit on the couch all day? The only thing you've ever done for me is demand handouts. His face turned crimson. You ungrateful little... Enough, I said, my voice low but firm. I'm done with this. I'm done with you. You all made it very clear tonight that I'm nothing but a paycheck to you. So fine. If all you care about is money here. I reached into my pocket, pulled out a single penny, and flicked it at James. It hit his chest and clattered onto the floor. There's your cut. His eyes widened in disbelief. You think this is funny? A little, I admitted. My father's face twisted in disgust. Michael, you're making a mistake. Family is all you have in this world. I met his gaze, feeling a strange sense of calm wash over me. No. You made a mistake. You showed me exactly who you are, and now I'm returning the favor. I stepped back into my house and started closing the door. Don't call. Don't text. Don't show up here again. We're done. My mother's voice wavered. Michael, wait. I shut the door, locked it, and for the first time in my life, I felt truly free. It's been 6 months since that night, and honestly, cutting them off was the best decision I've ever made. At first, they didn't take me seriously. My mom sent guilt-trippy messages about how a mother's love is unconditional and how she would always forgive me if I just did the right thing. Translation: handed over my money. James kept sending angry texts, alternating between calling me selfish and trying to give me one last chance to make things right. My dad, as expected, played the disappointed patriarch, sending a single text. You'll regret this someday. I ignored them all. Then the escalation started. Relatives I hadn't spoken to in years suddenly crawled out of the woodwork, sending me long-winded messages about family duty and how I was the one being immature for refusing to help those in need. A few of them got aggressive, calling me a traitor, a disgrace, and every other name in the book. Someone, I'm guessing my mother, even tried to log into one of my accounts, probably hoping to redistribute my wealth for me. Luckily, I had two-factor authentication on everything. When they realized I wasn't budging, they went nuclear. James posted a dramatic final message on social media, calling me a soulless sellout who abandoned his own family for greed. My mom made another long post about how she was praying for me to find my way back to the people who truly loved me. Some of my more distant relatives ate it up, commenting things like, "Stay strong, Mama, he'll come back when he realizes money can't buy happiness." But I didn't respond. I just let them scream into the void. Eventually, they got bored. The texts slowed, the social media posts stopped, and life moved on. So, where am I now? I'm happy. Really, truly happy. Without their constant negativity weighing me down, I've been able to focus on myself, my goals, and the people in my life who actually care about me, not just my bank account. I even took a trip overseas, something I'd always wanted to do but never felt free enough to actually go through with. Turns out, life is a whole lot brighter when you're not surrounded by people trying to drain the life and money out of you. And James? Last I heard, he's still exactly where I left him, complaining about how unfair life is, waiting for someone else to fix his problems. So, what do you guys think? Was I too harsh, or did they get exactly what they deserved? Let me know. I'd love to hear your thoughts.